Hello, awesome people. Welcome back to the Awesomeness Podcast. I'm Bianca Bonciu, and today I want to talk about something that I think many of us forget when we're going through a difficult season, and that is this: healing doesn't only happen in therapy. Now, before we begin, I want to be very clear. Therapy can be wonderful, therapy can be life-changing. Therapy has helped millions of people understand themselves, process difficult experiences, and build healthier lives. This episode isn't about minimizing therapy, it's about expanding our definition of healing. Because sometimes we accidentally start believing that healing only happens during a scheduled appointment, that healing only happens when we're actively working on ourselves, that healing only counts if it looks serious, structured, and productive. But life has taught me something different. Some of the biggest moments of healing in my own life didn't happen while I was trying to heal. They happened while I was living. And today, I want to talk about that. Healing isn't always a breakthrough. I think one of the reasons healing can feel frustrating is because we imagine it as a dramatic moment, a breakthrough, an epiphany, a lightning bolt of understanding. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes you have a conversation that changes everything. Sometimes you read a sentence that finally makes something click. Sometimes you have a realization that completely shifts your perspective. But a lot of healing doesn't look like that. A lot of healing is much quieter. It's less like a lightning bolt and more like a sunrise. You don't always notice it happening until one day you realize the room is brighter. You realize you're laughing again. You realize you haven't thought about that painful thing in a few days. You realize you're sleeping better. You realize you're becoming yourself again. And often those changes happen so gradually that we don't even notice them until they're already here. Dancing is healing. Let's start with one of my favorite examples: dancing. Now, I know some people hear the word dancing and immediately think, "Oh, I can't dance," or "I'm terrible at dancing." Good, perfect. That's not the point. The point isn't looking good. The point is moving. The point is letting your body remember that it's alive. Have you ever noticed how different you feel after putting on your favorite song and dancing around your kitchen? The problem might not be solved. Your life might look exactly the same, but somehow you feel lighter, a little freer, a little more hopeful, a little more connected to yourself, because your body was never designed to sit perfectly still while carrying stress all day. Sometimes healing is simply letting energy move. Sometimes healing is dancing badly in your pajamas while nobody is watching. And honestly, those are some of my favorite healing moments. Sunshine is healing. A few days ago, I was sitting on my balcony drinking tea. Nothing extraordinary happened. No profound insight, no breakthrough, no dramatic realization. I was just sitting there, watching the morning, feeling the sunshine, and yet when I came back inside, I felt different, calmer, more grounded, more connected to myself. Sometimes we underestimate the power of simple things: fresh air, sunlight, a change of scenery, a few quiet moments away from screens. The modern world constantly pulls our attention in 100 different directions. But nature has a way of gently bringing us back, not because it solves our problems, but because it reminds us that we're part of something bigger than them. Laughter is healing. I think laughter might be one of the most underrated forms of healing. Not fake laughter, not forced positivity, real laughter, the kind that sneaks up on you, the kind that makes your stomach hurt, the kind that makes you forget your worries for a few minutes. Life can be heavy, and sometimes when we're carrying something painful, we start feeling guilty for laughing, as if laughing means we're not taking our struggles seriously. But healing isn't only about processing pain. It's also about reconnecting with joy. You are allowed to laugh while you're healing. You are allowed to enjoy your life while you're healing. You are allowed to have fun while you're healing. In fact, sometimes that's exactly what healing needs. Creating is healing. This one is very close to my heart, because creating has healed me in ways I can't fully explain. Writing, music, videos, books, ideas, characters, stories. Sometimes creating something doesn't change your circumstances, but it changes your relationship with them. It gives your emotions somewhere to go. It gives your imagination somewhere to play. It reminds you that you're not just someone who consumes life. You're someone who contributes to it. Even something as simple as cooking can be healing. You're taking ingredients and transforming them into something nourishing. You're caring for yourself. You're creating something that didn't exist before. There's something deeply empowering about that. Safe people are healing. Not everyone who enters your life is emotionally safe, and learning that can be painful. But when you find people who genuinely see you, who listen to you, who respect your boundaries, who allow you to be yourself, something inside you starts to relax. You stop performing. You stop proving. You stop shrinking. You stop walking on eggshells. You simply get to be. And that experience can be incredibly healing, not because those people fix you, but because they create an environment where you no longer have to fight to exist. Rest is healing. This might be the lesson I personally have to relearn over and over again. Rest is not a reward. Rest is part of the process. So many of us have been taught that productivity is the ultimate measure of worth, that every moment must be optimized, that every day must be productive, that slowing down is somehow falling behind. But human beings are not machines. We're living creatures. We need recovery. We need stillness. We need moments where we're not producing anything at all. Sometimes healing happens during the walk. Sometimes it happens during the nap. Sometimes it happens during the bubble bath. Sometimes it happens while you're sitting on the couch doing absolutely nothing, and your nervous system finally gets a chance to exhale. Trying new things is healing. One of the sneakiest ways we heal is by expanding our world. Every time you try something new, you send yourself a message. You tell yourself, the future isn't closed. You tell yourself, there are still experiences I haven't had. There are still people I haven't met. There are still places I haven't seen. There are still parts of myself I haven't discovered. Whether it's learning a language, taking a dance class, trying a new recipe, starting a creative project, or simply taking a different route home, new experiences remind us that life is still unfolding, and that can be incredibly healing. Healing is bigger than we think. If you're going through something difficult right now, I want to leave you with this thought. Don't only look for healing in the obvious places. Look for it everywhere. Look for it in your morning tea. Look for it in the sunshine. Look for it in music. Look for it in laughter. Look for it in your friendships. Look for it in your creativity. Look for it in your walks. Look for it in your moments of rest. Look for it in ordinary Tuesdays. Because healing isn't always a dramatic transformation. Sometimes it's a collection of tiny moments that slowly reconnect you with yourself, tiny moments that help you feel a little lighter, a little stronger, a little more hopeful, a little more alive. And eventually, those tiny moments become something extraordinary. They become your healing journey. And thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to know. What helps you feel most like yourself again? Maybe it's music, maybe it's nature, maybe it's dancing, maybe it's creating, maybe it's simply taking a deep breath and slowing down for a moment. Whatever it is, I hope you make space for it this week. And until next time, keep shining, keep growing, keep believing in your awesomeness. And remember, healing doesn't always happen in big moments. Sometimes it happens in the beautiful little moments that bring you back home to yourself. Bye for now.